And that is all for WITN News at 5:30. WITN News at 6 starts right now.
We don't have a lot of preparation to do, so we're standing ready at any given point.
Tropical storm Ophelia is making its way across the east today and tomorrow. Coming up in a live report, hear how conditions are in Atlantic Beach today.
Very, very poorly. I mean, we have had several cancellations for the hotel.
And continuing our storm coverage, how some ENC businesses are faring in one popular tourist destination in the east, coming up in a live report.
Your most watched, most trusted news with certified, most accurate first alert weather. This is WITN News at 6.
Good evening and thanks for joining us. I'm Dave Jordan. Courtney Bunting is off. The rain and wind have already started and will only pick up in the intensity heading into the evening and overnight as Tropical Storm Ophelia approaches. Today and tomorrow are both first alert weather days, and we want to head right over to Chief Meteorologist Zach Holder, who is tracking the storm and its impacts. Zach?
Yeah, we're still got a lot of weather ahead of us over the next couple of hours, and we're going to continue to see water levels rise as well. Next high tide later on tonight, close to and after midnight, but you'd already see some of the waves lapping at the concrete. So water levels even higher than when we joined you at 4 o'clock. And if you see the park there, Union Point Park, it's usually the first thing to go underwater. Not to that point just yet, but that could happen over the next few hours. Still waiting kind of more for the winds to shift. Still more out of the northeast, kind of need those easterly winds to really push the water up the Neuse River, and that's when we're expecting probably the highest water levels through the overnight. Sustained winds mostly in the 20s, some spots to the north not quite as strong, but the gusts increasing a little bit. Started to get those 30 to 40 mile per hour wind gusts inland. So far today, it's been a struggle to see those winds kind of jump over the 30 mile per hour mark. Right now we're at 44 gusts in Beaufort, 43 Jacksonville, 43 in Hatteras, and last look at visible satellite as we kind of lose this during the evening hours of a strengthening Ophelia, and we're still got plenty of rain, plenty of wind, and eventually our tornado threat that's going to start to increase. So right now we're in a good spot, but that could change as we head through the overnight hours, have more updates coming, and of course we'll be here all night as well.
Yeah, this kind of gradually ramping up as the hours continue.
Yeah, landfall expected probably a little bit before 8 a.m. in the morning, somewhere between Onslow, Carteret County.
All right, sounds good. Thanks, Zach. And we have team coverage tonight as Ophelia approaches. Merritt Morgan is checking on preparations in inland counties, while Celeste Ford is in Oriental. But we begin with Ho-Jung Ryu in Atlantic Beach now, and a look at the conditions there. Ho-Jung.
Dave, here in Atlantic City, the storm is brewing. I mean, there's already flooding going on in areas by the water, especially during high tide. And I'm told that the main concerns here are the flooding and strong winds in surrounding areas as well. But the county was well prepared for the storm. Rough tides, aggressive winds, and heavy rain. The impacts of Tropical Storm Ophelia are seen all across the east, but especially by the water, at Atlantic Beach and Morehead City. Atlantic Beach is no stranger to storms like this, so town official already has prep work done.
This particular storm, we didn't have a 96-hour notice, but we don't have a lot of preparation to do, so we're standing ready at any given point if anything were to happen. Just basically for us, it's another day on Atlantic Beach, but with more rain and wind.
Chief Simpson says his only concern in this type of weather would be the standing floodwater from the rain, since the town sits low to sea level, which is also the main concern for local businesses.
Restaurants down here really don't like storms, obviously, because people don't, they stay at their house. So, I mean, fish sales are a little bit down during a storm, but hopefully they'll pick right back up. So, I mean, you really can't stop it, I guess. I don't know how you change the land other than bringing in dirt. So.
Patrick says residents near common flooding areas down east are also prepped for the storms. The Atlantic Beach Fire Department will continue to monitor the storm activity. Chief Simpson says with Ophelia, they are not expecting anything too severe, but the gusts of winds may intensify, so securing any objects that could take flight, like garbage cans, would be advised. Reporting live from Atlantic Beach, Ho-Jung Ryu, WITN News.
All right, thanks, Ho-Jung. And Merritt Morgan was in Greenville today speaking to Greenville Utilities and Public Works about the preventative measures they took to get ready for the weather. She's live now with more. Merritt?
Well, Dave, those I spoke to say it's extremely important to be prepared for these exact weather conditions really any time of the year. Now, those I spoke to say they're preparing for potential power outages and flooding. GUC Steve Hawley says preparation started earlier in the week. GUC crews made sure there are plenty of supplies needed in the event of an outage and that employees are on standby this weekend. Public Works also says that they worked to ensure drains were cleared and barricades were pre-staged in the event of flooding. Hawley also encourages people to be patient if any outages do occur.
One of the good things about being a public power entity is that we reinvest our money into the systems so that we have redundancy. So there are ways when you can, if there's an outage, we can reroute electricity in another way and reduce the number of outages that we have. We ask folks to just kind of hang in there, know that our crews are on it and they're going to get out there and respond as quickly as they possibly can and as safely as they can.
And on top of that, he says it's extremely important to remember not to touch any down power line if you see one, and to let professionals handle it in a safe and proper way. Now, for more information on these closures or any flooding, as well as power outages, you can visit any kind of city website, as well as GUC.com. Live in Greenville, Merritt Morgan, WITN News.
All right, thanks, Merritt. And now to Celeste Ford in Oriental, where the town is already seeing impacts in another way. Celeste?
Dave, Tropical Storm Ophelia is here, but thankfully it's only making a small impact financially on this popular tourist destination. Several businesses in the harbor area along Wall Street in Oriental closed up shop early on Friday. Tropical Storm Ophelia brought rain throughout the day, causing water to block many roads in neighborhoods. Oriental Marina and Inn manager Edward Manina says the weather has caused many travelers to cancel their room reservations.
There were fishing tournaments today that were supposed to depart here at the marina, and of course this is not the kind of weather that people will travel afar for just to go fishing. So all that has been canceled for the weekend. And the boat slips as well. We do have vessels in the marina today, but they're hiding from the weather.
Resident Mary Chester says despite other business closings, she's happy to discover her favorite seafood shop remained open. She says she has her own special routine when it comes to weather events like this.
Just minor precautions, you know, make sure the generator works, make sure you've got ice, make sure you have beer. And we probably can't say that on TV, you can edit that out, but make sure you have the essentials. And just keep an eye on the weather in case anything changes. Keep an eye on our neighbors. We all love each other here and want to make sure each other are safe.
According to WITN Chief Meteorologist Zach Holder, this is the second tropical storm in a month to impact Oriental.
We welcome everybody. Weather is always an issue, and we are a weather-oriented venue. Come, the sun will shine.
And this town is North Carolina's sailing capital, holding boat races throughout the year. Reporting live in Celeste Ford, WITN News in Oriental.
All right, thanks, Celeste. As Tropical Storm Ophelia bears down on our coast, Governor Roy Cooper declared a state of emergency earlier this afternoon. And let's take a look now to Craven County, where emergency services have encouraged residents to shelter in place. Barricades and sandbags are on standby, and people have already begun securing boats. The Neuse River has already begun to rise onto the steps of Union Point Park in New Bern. Emergency services says it expects roads to flood in Sandy Point, Harlow, and Bryce's Creek areas of Craven County. Director Stanley Kite says there is also the risk of tornadoes forming from this system, describing its patterns as unpredictable.
Well, this is one of those storms or scenarios that's kind of got us on edge because it can suddenly change. And, of course, we're already outside of our time window. We don't have enough time to do the normal repercussions. Everybody's going to have to shelter in place, and I hope they're prepared. There's going to be some storm surge coming in with this event.
Kite says the Oaks Road area of New Bern that is bordered by National Avenue and stretches all the way out to Glen Burnie Road is also expected to experience flooding. Well, today was a big day for these new members of Greenville Fire Rescue. This morning, 12 students graduated and celebrated with their families. The cadets were part of Greenville Fire Rescue Academy 18. Today marked the end of the long journey with these new EMTs. Firefighters trained and learned what they need to know to be the best at what they do. These cadets completed more than 800 hours of training, getting knowledge in both the fire and EMS fields.
It was a challenge. It was hard. I wouldn't have been able to do it without all the fellow guys in there. We all did a lot together, worked hard, a lot of good relationships there and all, but it was challenging.
I still have a lot to learn, and I'm looking forward to getting on shifts, being around more senior people to teach me the skills that they have, but I'm excited to continue my career forward.
And during training, the cadets participated in different exercises, including live burns to simulate real fire situations. Still to come, it's not even October yet, but right now might be a great time to do some Christmas shopping. We'll explain just ahead.
Rain and wind continue to increase, but something we haven't seen increase just yet is our tornado threat. Data showing that probably comes into play as we head closer to midnight and into early Saturday morning. So coming up, we'll dive into the forecast and talk a little bit more about what we're expecting and any changes to the forecast as well.
When it comes to work, vodka soda with Wheatley. This song right here is for the red, white, and blue. You got good taste and you drink like it too. Wheatley, so good I drink it neatly. And the watch in Moscow always get the mule. Vodka this good is an American jewel. Wheatley, so good I drink it neatly. So pour a glass on the porch, get a little tanner. Let your taste buds sing the Star-Spangled Banner. Wheatley, so good I drink it neatly. Wheatley, American vodka.
Catch live local streaming TV, free at viewit.com or on the Viewit app. Stream content from your favorite stations here and across the country. Plus, watch exclusive events and original programming all in one place from your favorite device. Keep up to date with what's happening in your community with news, weather, prep sports, and more.
In today's Living Right, here's what you should do to up your workout routine.
Search Viewit in your app store and download for free today.
I told myself I was okay with my moderate to severe rheumatoid arthritis symptoms. But then I realized that just okay isn't okay, and I was done settling.
If you still have symptoms of RA after a TNF blocker like Humira or Enbrel, Rinvoq is different and may help. Rinvoq is a once-daily pill that can dramatically relieve RA symptoms, including fatigue for some, and Rinvoq can stop joint damage.
Rinvoq can lower your ability to fight infections, including TB, serious infections and blood clots, some fatal, cancers including lymphoma and skin cancer, death, heart attack, stroke, and tears in the stomach or intestines occurred. People 50 and older with at least one heart disease risk factor have higher risks. Don't take if allergic to Rinvoq, as serious reactions can occur. Tell your doctor if you are or may become pregnant.
Done settling?
Ask your rheumatologist for Rinvoq.
And take back what's yours.
Learn how AbbVie could help you save.
The path to business success is often unpredictable. Managing your bank account doesn't need to be. Find your flow with powerfully smooth banking that keeps you focused on bringing your vision to life. Wherever your company goes, Mercury is there with banking products like checking and savings accounts, debit and credit cards, wire transfers, and financing, all designed to scale with your company.
From your most watched, most trusted weather source, today is a First Alert Weather Day.
And we will continue to see conditions intensify through the overnight hours. Now, this is a pretty big system, but it's also not a well-organized system. Here's the core of Ophelia, but notice we've still got rain and cloud cover stretching all the way even up into Virginia and D.C. a little bit. So kind of getting sheared a little bit, some dry air being entrained. So that may help, cut off the rain, but we're still expecting the wind to be pretty strong as this makes landfall early tomorrow morning, probably near or before sunrise. Notice at 2 a.m. it'll be right there at the door getting ready to make landfall, and then by the end of Saturday we're seeing this move up to Virginia, further up towards the north as we head through the rest of the week, and did bump up numbers maybe a little bit for the storm surge, especially if those stronger winds materialize. Rainfall doing pretty good on so far, and seeing those 40-mile-per-hour wind gusts up to 40 inland and 60 on the coast, though still expecting winds to maybe get a little bit stronger through the rest of the overnight as the core of Ophelia gets a little bit closer to the shoreline. Tornado threat probably starts later on this evening, closer to midnight, and could continue into Saturday a little bit. Areas best chance to see a couple tornado warnings will be along and east of Highway 17. As far as rainfall, most of us doing okay. You can see Beaufort closing in on 3 inches, so likely will be one of the spots that see the most rain, but still doing okay. It's come at enough pace, constant pace, that we have not seen big issues there in Beaufort just yet. But of course, if they keep getting more and more rain, that could change. So we're watching it closely. Here's the center of Ophelia. It's kind of south of Wilmington, but it's going to snake its way up kind of more towards the Crystal Coast over the next few hours. And you see still signs that it's trying to strengthen before it officially makes a landfall tomorrow morning. But we're already covered up, and probably the heaviest of the, at least the widespread, most widespread of the rain through the next few hours. The rain continues to move kind of east to west. Starting earlier in the day, it was kind of more out of the southeast to northwest. Starting to see that change a little bit as our winds switch directions, and not a constant deluge, but you still see some spots where that rain is obviously much heavier, kind of from Vanceboro, Aurora, down to Bayboro, Oriental, but then you start to find some drier spots mixed in as well. So hopefully that continues, because that would really help limit just how much rain we get at one time, which would keep our risk for flash flooding a little bit on the lower side. Rain stretches all the way as far west as the Raleigh area. Just a very wet and windy evening. Winds sustained at 25 right now in New Bern. Temperature at 70. Belhaven, similar conditions, overcast, and see the water levels maybe a little bit higher, but seeing no big issues at the moment. 66 in Greenville, 65 in Goldsboro. And those winds continue to come in from the northeast, but already starting to see that switch kind of occur a little bit. And once that does, that's really going to start to push water up the rivers like the Pamlico River, the Pungo River, Neuse River as well, towards the New Bern area, and gusts now up to 51 right now in Beaufort. So that's where we've been consistently seeing the strongest winds, from Beaufort over towards Jacksonville. And remember, these are gusts, so sustained, it's weaker, but every once in a while you start to see those stronger pushes of wind, and that's going to continue through the rest of the overnight. Winds mainly 30 to 40 as you head inland. And we're really expecting those stronger wind gusts to be right on the water. You can see these brighter colors here as Ophelia makes landfall. Notice they don't show up as well over land. There's a reason for that. There's more things to keep that wind field a little bit weaker than over flat water, like the Sounds and over the ocean. And so really seeing some strong winds at the mouth of the Pamlico River, and that's where we could see that water really start to pile up. Throughout the day tomorrow, winds should fall apart rather quickly, and notice by the evening we start to see those winds completely disappear. Over the next couple of hours, we'll really have to watch and see how much water gets kind of pushed up the rivers, now up to 4 to 6 feet of inundation possible. For the game tomorrow, it's still going to be wet, still going to have some showers, but they will be leaving, and we will see the winds also start to weaken as well. Once we get past this system, no big issues on the way next week, but still not exactly dry, as shower chances may linger for several days next week.
In that storm surge that you were just showing, we're not expecting once it gets here to kind of just stay there for a while. It's
right.
Go back out pretty quickly.
Winds will be out of the east for most of tonight, so that's when we'll see that water pile up. But once we get the kind of the eye to pass by, it'll switch again. We should see that water able to flow back out.
All right, very good. Thanks, Zach. Well, if you love the holidays, we're just about 3 months from Christmas. Halloween will be here before we know it, then Thanksgiving and Christmas, and of course New Year's. Everyone does their Christmas shopping a little bit differently, but for some, there's deals right now that they just can't pass up. Susan Campbell has more on the advantages of Christmas shopping in September.
It may feel early, but it's really not. Did you know by the end of this month, a quarter of all holiday shoppers will have started shopping for presents as people try to spread out their spending?
Halloween treats are on display, but the merchantile is already getting ready for the bustling holiday rush.
We are mentally preparing ourselves for everything that comes with like the holiday season.
So are some customers.
We do have like some traffic come through, like, oh, this is like getting ready for like the early like holiday, like, oh, this is gonna be for Christmas.
The jumpstart on holiday shopping is happening across the country. According to a new Bankrate survey, half of all holiday shoppers plan to start their holiday shopping by Halloween. 12% already started by the end of August. Another 12% will kick off their holiday shopping this month, and 26% of people say they'll begin tackling their gift lists in October.
I know it's early. I actually think it's a good idea for a few reasons. The biggest one is it just gives you more time. You can spread out your cash flow, you can set a budget, comparison shop, find the best deals. I'm not saying you need to buy everything now, but at least get the process started.
Bankrate's Ted Rosman says even though shoppers are getting started early, inflation and credit card debt will put a damper on holiday shopping.
We have about 4 in 10 shoppers saying they're just going to buy less stuff. And then another 4 in 10 say they're still going to buy, but they're going to be really aggressive about coupons and deals and discounts.
Deals and discounts you can count on to start early too.
I think it's more of a realization that customers only have so much that they want to spend, and retailers want to capture those dollars early. So they're putting their best foot forward in October. They're also hoping for some impulse buying.
For some shoppers, that's going to be easy to do when there's so much to choose from. One way to get good deals is to stack discounts. That means using shopping portals like Rakuten or credit cards with rewards for extra bonuses on top of store sales. Just make sure you pay off that credit card bill to avoid interest. One other idea, check around your house for old unused gift cards. You may be able to get a gift or two without spending a dime. I'm Susan Campbell.
Guess it's never too early to start shopping for Christmas. Well, the State House and Senate passed a bill to grab control over who governs state high school athletics. We'll share some of the details and the reaction from the current organizations managing high school sports coming up next.
Right now, the United Auto Workers expanded strike starting to directly impact consumers, plus with insurance companies shying away from high wildfire risk areas, the steps California is taking to cover property owners, but at what cost? Tonight.
I chose Upstart because I was on financial aid for school. It did run out. Once I found Upstart, I was kind of relieved. They're interested in my background. They were looking at more than just my credit score. I was able to get my money fast. I was able to consolidate all of those credit cards into one payment and raise my credit score so that I was able to make that move right after college.
Managing my credit card debt was overwhelming. I felt like I was in a race that I couldn't win. I felt backed into a corner, and it just wasn't a good place to be. My name is Carter, and Upstart helped me get rid of that credit card debt with a personal loan. Checking my rate with Upstart was super quick, super easy. It took me a few minutes to get my pre-approval and to get my interest rate. I got my money the next day. I was like...
Easy online borrowing. Personal loans up to $50,000. Go to Upstart.com.
My boy, what you doing? I'm locking in my prize picks. I just pick more or less on player stats. If I get them right, I win big. Yeah, like what? I got you. Oh, a black genie. If you pick 2 right, you win 3x. Pick 4 right, you win 10x. And if you pick 6 right, you win 25x your cash. Don't get no better than this. Oh, but it does. Because right now, Prize Picks is matching your first deposit up to $100. Prize Picks, daily fantasy made easy.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Eric Gullickson. In the middle of last night, the State House and then this morning, the State Senate passed Senate Bill 452, which would basically dismantle the North Carolina High School Athletic Association as the governing body of high school sports in the state. Senate Bill 452 aims to take over the authority of high school sports and give it to the Superintendent of Public Instruction and a Board of Education elected officials board. The State Board of Education would now decide who is eligible to play sports for a bevy of categorical reasons. It would remove NCHSAA control over appeals for students and parents regarding rules. They would no longer control health and safety rules. If it becomes law, the changes would start in the 2024-25 school year. Now, there's been some reaction today. NCHSAA Commissioner Q. Tucker said in a statement, "Today is a dark day for high school sports in North Carolina. This was a blindsided tackle, and I'm sorely disappointed in the actions of our state legislatures. Any statement that would suggest that we have not honored our end of the current memorandum of understanding is grossly inaccurate." The North Carolina Athletic Directors Association said in a statement, quote, "The NCHSAA comprises superintendents, principals, athletic directors, and coaches at member schools. This legislation is specifically determined to remove these most qualified individuals from the process that determines who represents them in matters related to high school athletics." And the North Carolina Coaches Association stands with and supports the NCHSAA. We believe firmly that the NCHSAA is the best organization for the administration and regulation of high school athletics in the state of North Carolina. It's now up to Governor Roy Cooper to vote for or pass this law or vote it back down and not put it into effect. ECU football takes on Gardner-Webb tomorrow night in Greenville. Pirates are 4-point favorites. They kick off at 6 o'clock. The college football week already underway. Wolfpack fans are already out there tailgating. They got a big one tonight. NC State plays at Virginia at 7:30 p.m. We'll get you some highlights tonight in the 11 o'clock show. 18th ranked Duke is at UConn at 3:30 on Saturday. 17th ranked North Carolina is at Pittsburgh Saturday night at 8 o'clock. The Heels head coach Mack Brown hopes they will be 4-0 for the first time since 1997 after that one.
We haven't handled success very well, and that's part of the growing of your program. We got to get used to winning again, and we got to think we're going to win and plan on winning instead of feeling too good about ourselves, getting the pats on the back, and not being as ready to play the next week.
And Dave Bryce Young officially out for Sunday. He did not practice today. Andy Dalton will start for the Panthers. They play at Seattle on Sunday afternoon.
All right, so maybe a little breather there to get healed up and get back on the field in another week.
Sounds like 1 to 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So hopefully next week he'll be back, but for sure should be back the week after that.
All right, sounds good. Thanks, Eric. Yeah. And we continue to track Tropical Storm Ophelia and what to expect into the overnight. We'll check back in with Zach coming up next.
Closed captioning is sponsored.
This football season, Prize Picks is making every game day worth more. Just pick more or less on player stats like rushing yards, touchdowns, and more, and win up to 25 times your cash. Go for the win across the country and get hyped this season with Prize Picks, the #1 daily fantasy sports app. Visit prizepicks.com/TV for a first deposit match up to $100. Prize Picks, daily fantasy made easy.
And Wash in Moscow always get the mule. Vodka this good is an American jewel. Wheatley, so good I drink it neatly.
This football season, Prize Picks is making every game day worth more. Just pick more or less on player stats like rushing yards, touchdowns, and more, and win up to 25 times your cash. Go for the win across the country and get hyped this season with Prize Picks, the #1 daily fantasy sports app. Visit prizepicks.com/TV for a first deposit match up to $100. Prize Picks, daily fantasy made easy.
A piece of an asteroid is heading directly for Earth thanks to NASA. The OSIRIS-REx spacecraft swings by Earth on Sunday, and it is set to deliver a sample collected from the asteroid Bennu. The delivery will be made by releasing a capsule containing nearly 9 ounces of asteroid rocks and soil from space toward a landing zone in the Utah desert. And you'll be able to watch the drop as well. NASA is providing a live stream of the delivery starting at 10 a.m. Eastern Time on Sunday. After the drop, OSIRIS-REx will continue its tour of the solar system to capture a detailed look at a different asteroid. So if you're not doing anything on Sunday and you want something exciting to do, tune into the NASA channel.
Dropping rocks from space.
Exactly.
Thought that would burn up in the atmosphere, but I guess
Apparently
that's some
not.
way to protect it. Over the next couple of hours for us, we'll be watching our winds increase. Already seeing gusts up around 50 miles per hour. Could get as high as 60, maybe even some isolated 65, 70 mile per hour wind gusts as the middle of Ophelia makes landfall tomorrow morning. So even though we're seeing wind and rain right now, still seeing kind of the initial impacts rather than the peak impacts. But the rain keeps coming, and eventually may start to see a tornado threat start to move in. And next week, less busy.
All right, sounds good. Thanks, Zach. And thank you for joining us. NBC Nightly News is next. We'll see you back here tonight at 11 o'clock.
Across